Hi, I'm Kelly from Kelly J Jewellery. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this pendant. I've used square wire, but you can use round wire if you like. I've used hematite coloured silver plated for my weaving wire, so it gives it a bit of contrast with the two colours, but you can use whichever weaving wire you like. Also, when you're buying little beads to use on square wire, you have to make sure that the inside hole measurement is large enough for the wire. I've put a list in the description below of everything I've used to make this pendant. Also, there are links to my Etsy shop and my Facebook page and my Instagram. If any of you are on there, I'd love to see finished work. There are also affiliate links to the tools below in the description. To make this pendant, you'll need 0.71mm square wire, and I've cut 3 lengths at 17 inches, that's 43 centimetres. And you'll need the same gauge, 0.71mm, that's 21 gauge for the half round wire. And I've got 1 length at 6 inches, that's 15 centimetres. Weaving wire, 0.315mm 28 gauge, you'll need about 150 centimetres. I've wound mine onto a bobbin. I've put a link in the description below to where I've purchased my bobbins from. You'll need a little cab today. I've got a little labradorite cab and mine is 12mm. And you'll need 2 3mm beads. Tools, I've got my wire cutters, my favourite pliers, round nose pliers and nylon pliers, just for straightening wire and flattening down the weave. So if you don't have these, don't worry, but I've put links to all of these tools in the description below. So if you just want to check them out, or if you're thinking about buying tools, please have a look at my links. They're all affiliate links. So I'm going to start roughly in the centre of my wires, and I've got all 3 square wires. So take your half round wire. We're just going to wrap around all of the wires. You're going to wrap around them about 3 times. We're going to take the top wire, we're going to bend it completely around. You can go around your round nose pliers if you want to get a nice tight circle, or you can just freehand it like me. We just want a nice tidy little loop on the top there. Then take your half round wire. We're going to go around all 3 wires still. And we'll wrap 3 times around that side as well, making sure your wires sit flat next to each other. Cutting the wires so that they finish off at the back. And I'll just flatten those down. Whoops. So now we're going to put a bend in our wires. You want to do it so the back, where we've cut the wires off, is at the back, which is the inside now of the wires. And we're going to wrap this around the stone. So we've got that shape. So we've now got this shape in the wire. We need to take this loop, bend it so it sits nice and flat. So take your weaving wire, leaving a short tail. We wrap around all of the wires about 5 times. I'm going to take the tail end and wrap it around the side wires, either side you like. Being in the UK, I buy my wire from beads.co.uk because it's really hard to get hold of square and half round wire when you're in the UK. But they sell it as a power wire and you can only get silver plated. So we'll take one of these back wires just to secure the other end of the weaving wire. We just wrap about 3 times around one of those. Just stop it moving about for now. So now we need to secure the stone. So turn to the back to start with. You need to separate these side wires a bit. It's a bit tough on your nails separating the wires, so you can always separate them before you tie it at the top. I normally work with a 0.8mm wire, but this 0.71mm in the square wire is a lot easier to handle, it's a lot softer. Well, it is from where I buy it from. I'll put a link in the description below. So you want to grab the wire and just bend it in. And as I've bent it in, I've held it at the top, so the top stays quite close to the edges and just the bottom of the wire comes in. We need to do that on the other side as well. So grab that outer wire, bend it in. Again, holding the wire at the top so that doesn't come in. Turn to the front. I'm going to grab the wire towards the bottom and holding it at the top with your thumb there so the top doesn't move. just bend the bottom of the wire in. And again on the other side. And you may not get it very tidy first try, but the more you practice, the tidier it will get. And I'm just squeezing the wires a little bit just above the stone there, just to hold the stone down. So that's what we've got so far. I do love the look of this silver square wire. So now I'm going to spread my wires out so they're all in a line, the back two going out to the sides. So you can see what wires you've got. Pulling this one out of the way for now. I'm going to work on these two. So I'll just move these two a little bit out the way, these three. The weaving wire is positioned at the bottom here, and we're going to weave across these two wires. So we'll go 3 times around the bottom of the two wires. And then 3 times around both of the wires. And with using this square wire, I can't actually push it any further down because of my wraps are there as well. So we're going to keep repeating that 3 times around the bottom wire, 3 times around both wires, and we'll do that about 10 times. So I've done 10 repeats of that weave. And I'm pulling that weave over to the right a little, pushing this wire to the back so it's out of my way. I'm going to scoop this weave around. We've got a loop at the top there. I'm going to scoop this wire around as well, so I'm going to pull it over to the right like that. Scoop it around to follow the weave. Then I'm going to attach it to the weave briefly. So bringing the weaving wire underneath this new bare wire, and I need to make sure that the square wire is all sat next to each other, so I'm going to twist that one a little bit, just so it's in line with the others. Making sure they're all flat. And the wire underneath this new bare wire, go around the bottom two wires twice. Come up between the bottom two wires, over the top and around the top two wires twice. Underneath the bottom wire and around the bottom two twice. So I'm just repeating that now, up between the bottom two wires, over the top and around the top two wires twice. Around the bottom two wires. Then we're going to pull this bottom wire down a little bit. Go back up between those bottom 2 wires, and we're going to continue our original 3 weave across the top 2 wires now. So we'll go 3 times around the bottom wire, which is the middle wire, and then 3 times around both of those wires, and that will be our repeat. So keep repeating that one. 3 times around the bottom wire, 3 times around the both wires. So I've done 8 repeats of that little weave, and I'm going to scoop that weave around a little. Like that. And then this bare wire that sits next to it, I'm going to curl that around. And I'm going to go around again. I'm going to do a tighter loop this time. I'm going to pop a little bead on there. So now we've got all 3 wires together again here. So I'm going to weave again across all 3, as we did up at the top there. Hard to hold these wires with all these long wires. Right, so we go under the bottom wire and around the bottom 2. Twice, come up between the bottom 2 wires and go around the top 2 wires twice, and we'll do exactly what we did at the top here, so you end up with 2 wraps around the top and 3 around the bottom like that. Then we're going to lower the bottom wire again and just do a few more repeats across these 2 wires of that 3 weave. 3 wraps around that bottom wire, 3 wraps around both of the wires, just repeat that a few more times. Where my weave comes to on these 2 wires here, the weaving wire actually sits nicely at the base of that loop at the back there. So holding it against the pendant, I'm going to take my weaving wire around that back loop. Few times just to hold it in place. Then I'm going to bring the wire up between those bottom 2 wires again, and we are still ignoring this bottom wire, So carrying on working over the other two, we're going to continue the 3-3 weave. 3 wraps around the both wires, so you're carrying on with this weave, and then 3 wraps around that bottom wire. Here's the design as I'm going. I've decided you don't need the great big long wire lengths that I decided at the beginning, so I've adjusted them down. You're going to need 14 inches, but I'll correct that at the beginning of the video. So I've done 8 repeats of that weave, and you must keep compressing your weave together as you go to keep it nice and tidy. And I'm going to scoop this around make a little loop on the bottom. Now this bare wire needs to come to the front of that. So now we need to continue the 3-3 weave a little bit further. Do another few repeats on there. Okay, I do want the bare wire to go behind the weaving wire, so I'll have to put a note on the video to say that. So this bare wire has gone behind the weave. We're going to make it follow, because I want it to follow the weave. And we're going to scoop it around to follow the weave. And this time it's going to sit along the top, like that. So now we're going to do that little weave that ties them all together. 2 wraps around the bottom 2, up between the bottom 2, 2 wraps around the top 2, and repeat this until you get the 2 wraps at the top and the 3 wraps at the bottom, like we have done already on the other side. Then we're going to pull the bottom wire down. We're going to continue the 3-3 wrap over the top 2 wires. 3 wraps around that middle wire, three wraps around the top 2 wires, and we'll repeat that a few more times. I've added more repeats, and this wire is going to go between, just over the top of the stone there, around the back of the wires, so that's how many repeats you need to do, so it reaches to there. And then this inner wire, we're going to scoop around. I think it's probably best to put that weave through there so it's out of the way. So I'm going to cut that weaving wire off, so it's nice and flush at the back. And scoop that weave around. And then post it through. It's got to go under those curls, through to the back, like that. And I'll leave it there for now. And then this one comes around a nice big curl, and then carry it around again, a slightly tighter curl, and we'll put our bead on it. and that needs to be posted over the top as well. And I'll sort that out in a minute. So I've grabbed that short wire round so it tucks in nice and tight there. And I'll finish these wires off just wrapping them around here and cutting them nice and short. As I'm bending them over, I'm holding this in place so it doesn't lose its shape. I'm just curling the ends of the wires over, and then I shall squeeze them down in place with the pliers, making a mess of my nice square wire now. So I'll make sure the wire length is right so you don't run out of wire like I did, but I've just curled my back wire around this, my wire for the bead around this back wire. So that's what we've got so far. And with these last wires, these 3 wires at the top, I'm going to take the middle one and I'm going to grip it with my nylon pliers, and I'm going to put some twists into it. So holding it really firmly, I'm putting a little pressure on this as well. So I'm pulling against the pliers, and I'm going to put some twists into that middle wire. Done that just to make it a little bit different. If you're not using square wire, if you're using round, you could always add coils to this middle wire just to make it stand out from the others. So I'm going to pull them back from the pendant a little bit so I can just work on one wire at a time, and I'm picking the one furthest on the right. And I'm going to curl it around. And I want it to go through there. So I'm going to shape it as much as I can, and then I'm going to post the end through the gap. And I'm just going to shape it so it sits nicely in line with the others. And then when you're happy with the shape, bend it back over the wire. I'm going to do that with the other 2 as well. And I want that to sit below that next wire. just squeezing it so that they're in place and they don't move. I'll do the same with this last wire. This is only going to have a little curl on it. Again, I'm going to post that through, and it's a tight fit. And I want that to sit a little bit lower at the top, but to come in to sit next to them further down, like that. Bottom wire, holding the front in place, I'm going to bring around to the front. I'm just going to put a little tiny curl in there. And the other two, I'm going to cut those off, and I'm just going to wrap them around those 3 wires there. So I'll cut them quite short. And using the round nose pliers, I'm just going to cut that a little bit short actually. Wrap it around the top there. I'll just curl the ends around, and then I'll squeeze the rest in place with the pliers. And then I'm going to finish off this one with just a little curl there. Just hides the other wires that are wrapped around there. Finishes it off. Just want to flatten that curl down a bit. So I forgot to mention you're going to need a jump ring. Mine's 10mm outside measurement, just to be able to pop your chain on or your cord. There we have a cute little pendant for you. I always forget about the jump rings, just because I get carried away with the design. I hope you found this tutorial easy to follow, and I didn't confuse you too much. So please subscribe if you haven't already, and if you leave me a comment below, I will try and answer everybody. And thanks for watching. Bye.